Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. We got some breaking news here. The Las Vegas Raiders have signed former first-round pick DJ Fluker. Fluker was drafted in the first round back in 2013 with the, San Diego Chargers at the time, was out of Alabama. And to me, this is not all that surprising of a move. We talked about Fluker last week on the show because Fluker worked out with the silver and black, and I said that it could make some sense because of his overall ability to play not only offensive tackle, but probably he's built a little bit more to be a guard at this point at 30-plus of age. Hasn't really been able to play in the NFL. Has been bouncing around on some practice squad teams. And we'll get into everything that you need to know about this signing here with Fluker, but this is exactly why you subscribe to the Raiders Report. I can't promise you if the Raiders are going to score a touchdown in a game. I can't promise you if the Raiders are ever going to be able to make the playoffs, if they're ever going to win a Super Bowl. But here's my promise to the nation. If you're committed to this team, and maybe you're not even committed to the team so much, but you're committed to the nation, I got commitment to excellence. I plan on showing up every single day. It's 365 for a reason. But when breaking news happens, we got you covered here on the Raiders Report. It's easy to talk about news, but how does it actually impact the Raiders? And if you don't like what you see from today's show, hit unsubscribe. You have absolutely nothing to lose. So with the Raiders going out and signing Fluker, he's been posting some videos of him. You know, he's in a lot better shape, and he's been trying to prove that despite really only being on practice squads and has not played in 2022, did not play this season either in 2023, bounced around on a few different practice squads back on 2021. But the reason why Fluker kind of started to get viral, and I can remember we talked about him here at Chat Sports last offseason because of the pro day when he showed up to Alabama. And don't get me wrong, you see a lot of these phenomenal athletes at Alabama, and they're all working out, they're getting ready for the combine. And then there's DJ Fluker who shows up. And when he ended his NFL career, he was probably a little bit too big, and it's why he wanted to get back into shape. But I'll tell you this, right? Like, you see a kid coming out of college, and if you haven't seen the photos, go Google him. DJ Fluker, Alabama Pro Day. It's definitely worth a look at. But when you see a 19, 20-year-old, 21, 22, 23-year-old guy coming out of Alabama, and then you put him next to a 33-year-old DJ Fluker. I mean, Fluker was making these young men look like little boys. So, monster of a dude. For them to go out and sign him, to me, does make it seem like that workout went pretty well. But I also know that the reason why they brought him in and the reason why they're working him out is because of injuries. So we'll talk about some of those players that are injured and why the Raiders decided to sign Fluker this morning. But this is also what the Raiders Report's about here. Yes, we are live right now on this show. We got over 400 people tuned in. But I know that a lot of people aren't going to be able to watch this live, and you're going to watch this on a little bit of a later date. If you don't know what the Raiders Report is about, it is this. It is about interaction. So what I want you to do here is you're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. I want you to scroll on down, get your red pen out. Let me know. Grade the signing of DJ Fluker, A, B, C, D, or F. My move, my grade here is going to be a C. It's a okay move considering the fact of where the Raiders are currently at. You're 5-8 on the season. You had a devastating loss to the Minnesota Vikings where you lose 3-0. It was only the second time in the last 30 years that a game has ended in 3-0. And I know that the Raiders' offensive line has been kind of poked at by the nation on social media. I've seen it on Twitter. I've seen it on Instagram. I've seen it on Facebook, which I actually don't think is all that fair. The Raiders' offensive line, by I think all the important metrics that people should look at, are a top 12 offensive line unit. But the reason why this is a C grade to me is I'm not going to expect Fluker to be able to show up and be like a total game changer. No, the reason why you brought in Fluker is because of that versatility. Raiders offensive line coach Carmen Brasil has got to understand, okay, I got Thayer Munford playing left tackle who was filling in for an injured Colton Miller yesterday against Minnesota. And then because Andre James also, if you guys remember, was battling an injury, they had to kick Dylan Parham in, put him at center, which was kind of like what I thought he was originally drafted to do. Then they had to put Jordan Meredith over there at left guard. You kept Greg Van Roten at right guard. You had Jermaine Illuminor at right tackle. And yesterday, the best offensive lineman the Raiders had, and it was not close, was in fact Jermaine Illuminor. So because you've lost some depth, Now you add Fluker, who can play interior offensive line, and he can play offensive tackle. It's why the Raiders decided to make the move that they did. We'll continue to break down everything that you need to know around the Raiders signing Fluker. Again, how it impacts whether or not he's going to be playing against the Chargers. But I wouldn't be able to do today's show if it wasn't for our sponsor, PrizePicks. And tonight, man, we got 2 Monday Night Football games, which I'm hella excited about. And hopefully my picks do better today than what they did yesterday. And I'm sorry if anybody took some of my picks. I really thought that the Raiders would, I don't know, maybe score at least 1 touchdown against the Minnesota Vikings. But if you're like, Mitch, I'm going to be sitting around, I'm going to be hanging out, watching a little Monday Night Football. Luckily, I got this on tap for all of y'all. You can go take my picks. You can take your own if you want to get started. Again, PrizePicks is daily fantasy sports made easy. All you got to do is go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, and you're going to get a $100 deposit match. So again, prizepicks.com/CLNS. That link's going to be available to all of y'all down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. So I know tonight my skills, I'm going to be testing them on PrizePicks, and it's why I've had a lot of fun. And sometimes, man, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. PrizePicks offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. So if you didn't like my picks that I had for Monday Night Football, hey, you can go choose your own. If my fiance has a good time doing this, I think you're going to have a good time doing it as well. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. So we're live here on the Raiders Report, breaking down the recent news. This has been confirmed by NFL insider Jordan Schultz. His, connections, if you will, were told by DJ Fluker's agent that he is signing with the Raiders. We don't have the contract details. I mean, if we're just being honest here, the Raiders got 4 games left on their schedule. You got Thursday Night Football up against the Los Angeles Chargers, which maybe it's a little bit of a revenge game for Fluker, right? He can get back, he can get after those guys. Then you got the Kansas City Chiefs on Christmas, Week 16. Then you're going to round it out with the Indianapolis Colts, Denver Broncos. And when the Raiders made the announcement that they are signing Fluker, I saw a lot of people, they're like, why even do it? The season's over. What's crazy is, I hear you. Do I think that the Raiders are going to make the playoffs? No, I don't think that. But to me, go tell that to Max Crosby. Go tell that to Antonio Pierce. Go tell that to Champ Kelly. Guys that are still going to go out there, and they're going to give it 110%, and that's what I think all Raiders players should do. You're getting paid millions of dollars until that fat lady starts singing or until your playoff percentages hit 0. You still got to try to go out, make some moves, and make your team better. And I know, it's crazy, but if the Raiders win against the Chargers, Chiefs, Colts, and the Broncos, according to the New York Times, you have a 51% chance to make the playoffs. After watching that Vikings game, 51% winning 4 games sounds pretty good. Now, obviously, if you lose 1 game, you're done. The season is 100% over, and I know some people want the Raiders to win because I enjoy when the Raiders beat division rivals. I don't know about you, but then I also understand if they do win, it hurts your draft stock, and as it stands right now, your draft pick would be at number 8, and if the Giants were able to win tonight, and who else plays tonight? Whoever. It's the Giants and who? Giants, Packers, and if the Titans are able to win, then actually the Raiders would have the number 6 overall pick. Shout out to Chuggs for being on top of it. But to me, I know that some people want them to win. I know some people don't want them to win. But to me, the Raiders still have a chance to make the playoffs, which is why this regime went out and they at least made something happen. So yesterday, Colton Miller was unable to go. He's still dealing with that shoulder injury, and Miller missed some time before the Raiders' bye week, was able to tough it out, play against Kansas City. He's just clearly not healthy, and he's a very, very tough player. Like, he has not missed a lot of time throughout the entirety of his career. Really, he's only missed time when he started early in his career as a rookie, but battled through some wicked injuries. And if he's not 100% healthy, I'm not trying to put him in a bad spot because we need him going forward. But the other injury that, to me, we have not gotten an update on, and one of the biggest reasons why I think that they went ahead and they started looking at Fluker, like, it was Colton Miller was the reason why they brought Fluker in last week. They knew that he was not going to be able to go. He was rolled out on Friday, so that was, well in plan. And Antonio Pierce said today during his press conference that the Raiders already started the plan for the Chargers game on Friday. So with that in mind, then once Andre James went down with an injury, they said, okay, what exactly are we going to do here? With Colt Miller, your starting left tackle. With Andre James, your starting center, injured. Now you got to look at these guys on a short week. I don't expect Miller to play. I don't know what's going to happen here with Andre James. We'll get an injury update on him. But to me, right now, if your starting offensive line doesn't have Miller, doesn't have Andre James, I'm going to expect what they ended up rolling with to end out that Vikings game, which was left tackle, probably going to be Thayer Munford. At left guard, Jordan Meredith. At center, Dylan Parham. Right guard, Greg Van Roten. Jermaine Illuminor at right tackle. You're also going to keep Justin Herron as a little bit of extra depth. Yesterday, the Raiders also promoted Brandon Parker to the 53-man roster, so he was there. He can play a little bit of swing tackle. They're going to add some extra depth here to this Raiders offensive line. This Thursday night football game, I'll tell you that right now, it's going to be an ugly game. It looks like it's going to be Aiden O'Connell up against Easton Stick. I don't know if Josh Jacobs is going to play. He's still battling an injury. But the offensive line needed a little depth due to the injuries around Colt Miller and due to the injuries around Andre James. That is why the Silver and Black, they went out and they signed former first-round pick out of Alabama, DJ Fluker. So, with all of that injury talk, with the Fluker talk here, what's your confidence level in the Raiders' offensive line as it stands right now? And I want you to scale it from 1 to 100. 1 being, Mitch, it's the worst offensive line in the NFL right now. 100, it is the best offensive line in the National Football League. For me personally, if I'm going to base it off of, and I mean only off of me saying that it's going to be Thayer Munford, Jordan Meredith, Dylan Parham, Greg Van Roten, and then Jermaine Illuminor, my grade on that is probably going to be a 50. I don't think that Jordan Meredith should have even made this roster. Then you got some backup guys. Sure, Fluker's an older dude, going to be able to add a little bit of depth here. But realistically, this offensive line has gotten significantly worse due to some of the injuries, because your two best offensive linemen this season have, I would probably say, Colt Miller, Andre James. Without those two, could be an interesting game on Thursday Night Football. If you guys follow me on Twitter, you probably already know the news around Fluker. We tweeted it out, and that's why you should follow me on social media. When breaking news happens, I put it out on Twitter, put it out on IG, and then we make a video on it for the extra context. If you're only looking for quick news bits, hey, social media, that's what it's for. If you're looking for more of the why something happened, that's why you should subscribe to the Raiders Report.